Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Hellbent Live. This is the after show, the post-premiere after show after Dogman Massacre attack at the Land Between the Lakes. We're going to run into the chat really quick, make sure everything's cool, you can hear us, let us know you can see us, you can hear us, everything's good. And then we're going to bring on the guys.
Real quick, Deborah. Feral Queen. Wow, what a great ride. High-tech, real-time.
All right.
Terrifying is the best way. No one compete with Jessi and Joe.
Thank you,
telling you, man, that was just the perfect intersection of actually experiencing activity and having the ability
to record it, capture it,
and then present it.
Thank
you so much. We appreciate that.
With each of these projects, the first project we did that was a major project was the Uwari, when the monster on Morris Mountain, Bigfoot and the Uwaris. From there, we went to the Sumter Sasquatch, and just progressively as we go along, we're getting better and better.
Excuse me.
Well, I'm glad we got better because Joe is dying now.
Joe is dying.
We've gotten progressively better with our field techniques, our investigation techniques, being able to capture it out in the field, being able to capture this audio, and then being able to present it in a really, I think, really successful way. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm glad that you guys could enjoy that with us. And I hope you guys really enjoyed that. We only had a couple of trolls on there, but I think
it was basically the same person, I think. Noticed how they would never be on there at the same time.
Never two trolls at once.
Two different names, but they had the same icon.
Oh, no.
And when I just kind of laughed about that, they were very quick to kind of offer a big long explanation.
Now,
it was great.
This is a public live stream right here, but we do have a mod that is the most vicious.
Small Town Monsters, excellent films. All.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, so and thank you for allowing us the opportunity.
Okay. We do have. Sorry, I'm excited. Okay. We do have a mod in the chat. We have a couple of mods in the chat. So let's keep it respectful because I know how jazzed up Dogman can make people. So
Small Town Monsters did not have to ban as much as one might think, given the turnout.
We had a huge turnout. I think we topped out at 1,870.
Just shy. If we'd gone another 10 minutes. I think we would have broke 2,000.
But I think it was quite good. It was a good turnout. I appreciate you all coming out for that. So now we're just going to get into this. This is our after show where we're going to get into the nuts, the bolts.
The nitty gritty.
See how the old sausage is made.
All right.
So we've got with us today the two gentlemen that joined us on this expedition that stayed in the cottage cabin cave with us for many days, and survived a journey into the LBL wilderness with Hellbent Holler. Today we have from strange backcountry, our boy, you know him, you love him, Mr. MK Ultra. MK, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you see he is in his deluxe bus setup there. Now,
Completed with the tuna.
Yep. MK has a channel called Strange Backcountry where he is going around in a bus that is kitted and outfitted for hunting Bigfoot. And it is the first of its kind. It's a totally unique project. And you need to go and subscribe to his channel if you're not already subscribed. We're going to put that in the chat so you can subscribe to his channel and show MK some love. When he's out in these areas, right now he's stationed in the Uwari National Forest. We filmed our first documentary for this series. He's stationed out there right now, but he will do live streams where he does live stakeouts out in the forest and captures real-time Bigfoot evidence. Joe is grabbing that link right now so you can go and subscribe to MK, but we want to welcome MK. What's up, my man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. Thank you, guys. Yeah. And what a blast this LBL doc was. I mean, I was enthralled. That's why I wasn't in chat too much. I kept getting sucked into it.
Yeah, and what's cool is you guys don't get to see anything until it's done. So I'm with the project for a long time, and so I start to don't see the forest for the trees at some point, but then you guys get to see that final product. And I know you guys were all there and everything, but I feel like it really translated what we experienced out there.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the sound captures, to be able to say yeah, we heard your classic werewolf sound, and then be able to play it. And it is that it took a lot of work, but like it's worth it all when you can actually capture something like that.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna bring on our newest member to the gang, our boy Steve Strange from Surviving the Strange. Surviving the Strange does a lot of paranormal and high strangeness investigations. He's mostly based over on Rumble. And we will have a link to that we'll actually put in the description along with MK's link, so that when you watch this later, you can follow those links to the guys' channels. Joe is pulling up the link to Steve's channel right now on Rumble and sharing that. So make sure you go over there and subscribe to that as well once he puts that into the chat. And Steve is I kept referring to you as our robot Terminator Bigfoot hunter, because you were all
like
kitted
RoboCop.
out. Yeah, the RoboCop. Yeah. But you were all kitted out. I'm seeing what that feedback is. Getting a little feedback. I think it's over now.
I think we're good.
All right, cool. But you were like our RoboCop out there. You actually had your nods and everything on. But welcome, Steve, to the show.
Thanks for having me. I couldn't be more stoked that you guys invited me along for the shenanigans.
Yeah, it was definitely one for the books. It was probably our most intensive and in-depth investigations that we've ever done. And I think I said in the film that this is probably the most high-tech group to ever hit the ground in the LBL. I feel like the LBL has been a wasted space at this point, that there's so much going on out there, and that it really needed something like this film to do it justice. So we'll start with MK here. MK, do you want to lodge any sort of like things that you want to talk about the movie or anything like that?
1 second. Let me just thank Ken Lucas here real quick. Excellent as expected.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken, we just got to spend some great time with you out in the woods of Tennessee. Thank you so much. Tracy, you guys did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much, Tracy. We appreciate it. We appreciate your all support. And we appreciate those of you who become a member. That money goes towards actually funding the equipment that we use for these investigations. And Rhonda has just joined the membership.
There is a ton of members content for you guys to check out if you become a member on our channel, and everything that we get from our memberships just goes right back into the project. Joe and I have jobs that we work every day, but everything for the memberships goes back into the channel. It pays for the equipment. It definitely pays for the batteries. That's the big cause that we have right now. So we do appreciate your memberships on there. There's multiple tiers you can get into, and we give you lots of extra content in return. So, all right, MK, hit it, my man.
Well, I'll touch on what you kind of said, how expansive this whole place is. I've watched pretty much everything about the Dogman and the LBL in that area, and it's such a small window what we've seen so far, and this documentary really opened that up a lot more. So yeah, it's I feel like we've only ever seen like maybe like 10,000 acres, or what is 170,000 acres. There are some really amazing places out there with a lot of history to explore.
What was something that when you got there, I think you and I'll ask Steve you this too. Let's go to Steve first. Steve, what are some preconceived notions that you had that were completely dashed when you finally got into the LBL?
So I've been to the LBL before, but I think that the thing that got me, it totally threw me for a loop, and I think it may have been in a live stream. I don't think it was actually in this documentary. Is so many people tell the story about the bunkers, and it's like this obscure place that is so difficult to get to. Like it's like this black hole area of the LBL. And we got there, and there is a regularly used walking trail that goes through the middle of it. So it's not this obscure place that is secret or difficult to find, or it's been hidden by years of cover up by the folks that run the park. It is like people do routine cardio just walking through that area, and I had no idea that changed my perception of it entirely.
So that area, that trail, that's actually, like, I think it's called the Lakeside Trail. And one of the first times we were out there, we went out there in 2021, and that was our first trip out there. And we got to the location and we're like, is this it? Are we sure this is it? Because I was horrified and frightened by a guy on a bike coming up. It scared the crap out of me. And I was like, okay, so there's people that come out here every morning and ride their bikes around this area. Yeah. And, you know, they have no idea what this is. They have no idea what this place is, with the whole legend and lore behind this. It was just kind of cool to see that kind of juxtaposition of those things.
Real quick, and Little just became a YouTube member. We appreciate it, and we'll call these out as they come up. Tracy rejoined.
Thank you,
Tracy was a member once before and has rejoined up to it. We appreciate it. We are all community supported. We are not big corporate Bigfoot.
Say no to corporate Bigfoot.
Say no to corporate
All right,
Bigfoot.
MK, what are some preconceived notions you had about the LBL? I know this was your first trip to the LBL. What did you think about it? Because there's a lot of lore. You hear a lot of stuff within the cryptid circles about the LBL. So I'm sure you had a lot of preconceived notions before you went up there with us. What are some of those preconceived notions, and how were they changed by going into this project with us?
I hate to like piggyback off what Steve said, but it was like how close these areas known for like activity was like near such public places. And same with a lot of it. I don't know, that's what really kind of interested me and what changed me about it. Also, I guess it's went through a lot of changes from even what you guys have said. So I was expecting a much like you are, where there isn't too much infrastructure. But when we got up there, there was a lot of new construction, a lot of new places just for the Forest Service. So that was a surprise to me. That was completely caught off guard, because every time I've seen all these other videos, you see a lot of like more modern trash laying around, and then we didn't see a lot of that at all. So it was definitely like a I don't know, like a how would you say it? Like almost a revitalization of the whole place, which I did not expect at all. That was definitely maybe the biggest.
I think that was something that we experienced too, is we had not been back there since we filmed Dogman Territory with Small Town Monsters. We had not been back to that area, and there's been such a change between the time in which we went to that area 2.5 years ago to film Dogman Territory, and when we came back this trip. There's been a clear influx of money throughout this area. There's new signage. It seems like there's a new police force. And we talked about that last night on our show that we did last night. It's just, there was such a big difference in that. Do you got anything from the chat? We'll go from here.
Yeah. Let me throw a couple of things here real quick. And we'll be bouncing back and forth between the chat, because we want this to be kind of interactive. In the Wind, thank you so much for that. 20 pounds.
20 pounds. 20
pounds. Doing some British currency. From a behavioral standpoint, if something like Dogman is in an area, what unobvious signs that you or others may have experienced would suggest it's actually present in a rural area? Any early warning signs? I'll address this. One of the things we have noticed, wild animals, both scavengers and even predators to a certain extent, will feed off of roadkill. Now, the LBL has an extremely busy road going down the center of it called the Trace. And I believe you hear us even reference it a few times. Residents and travelers will use it a lot of times, as opposed to driving around the land between the lakes. So it's very heavily traveled, especially during the daytime. At nighttime, that traffic really drops off. But there's a fair amount of deer kills through there. One of the things we have noticed is we have found deer that have been hit and killed on the Trace and then dragged away, actually into the woods at that point. Something that doesn't really seem like it's possible for normal coyotes to do. So that's one of the things I think definitely people would want to look for. There's so many stories out there. Linda Gottfried and others have talked about how people have been driving around a corner at night and then they come across a dogman just basically parked out on the side of the road eating roadkill. So I think one of the things, like a tangible type of thing that you might look for, is, are you in an area where roadkill would be a possible food source for these things, and does it look like it's being taken advantage of? So that's one of the real just nuts and bolts type things that I think that you could really look for that. We've got our buddy Janet. Great work as always. Had a great time with both you guys at the camp out. We had a ball with you all at the camp out. It was great. We're going to talk about that some on our Tuesday show. And our buddy Kurt, thank you so much for that, Kurt. Some of those howls brought me back to the Lon Chaney werewolf movies. And And that's what I talked about, was that I just went, this is like some American Werewolf in London type stuff, guys. I had already kind of convinced myself halfway through the investigation that there's no Dogman in the LBL, that we were just dealing with Bigfoot. And then we heard those, and there's nothing that says Sasquatch about those calls.
Yeah.
It was just definitely large canine. So really good stuff.
What was y'all's opinion? We've heard stories over the years that there is the possibility that there's Dogman and Bigfoot in the LBL. What is y'all's opinion? And we'll figure out who wants to go first. But what's your opinion on the possibility that there is Bigfoot and Dogman out there? Because it sounds like we got vocalizations from two different things. And we even mentioned, gosh, it sounds exactly like the Uwari howl, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like from the variations of like vocals we heard, it would like that was definitely canine what we heard there at the end. And it's funny he says Lon Chaney werewolf movies because like that's what I thought was the Lon Chaney classic Hollywood werewolf when I heard it. But then yeah, in that Russian Creek area, what we were hearing was almost identical to what we hear out here in Uwari. So to me, it screamed very much Bigfoot in that area. So I would go with, I'm open to that. There's both of them out there, absolutely.
What about you,
I think you mentioned like the trace running down through there and roadkill. It's like that is a great natural separator too, just for lots of things, you know.
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What do you think about the possibility that there might be Bigfoot and Dogman out there based on what we got? Oh, Steve, I've lost you.
Nope.
How about now?
I got you, Steve. I hear you.
Okay. I think one of my biggest catches has been I was so ready for Bigfoot. I was on the fence about Dogman. And then the next thing we know, we hear a Universal Studios style werewolf howl. I wasn't ready for that. I was ready for like everything matches the Bigfoot, and even like that weird thing that like flung at you guys, like even like poltergeist. Like I was ready for that. The Dogman, I was okay to try to figure out a way to explain that away, but no, we repeatedly heard something howling, and then there's even a few more little incidents that I think might be a part of maybe some further work that you guys are gonna do. Like there was some more audio that I don't know if even got picked up while we were out there, and it was still like I don't know how to explain that. So very much a Dogman thing.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was very surprising for all of us that we got vocalizations of both things. That there's possibility of that out there. So let's go to the chat now. So I'm doing my best to run this. This is the first time I've ever run a multi-screen, multi-person
Doing a hell of a job.
So I'm trying to get this done as quickly as easily as possible. We got a little feedback on one of the mics, so I'm just muting the guys whenever they're not on here. But let's go into the chat. What you got, Mr. Joe?
Turdog, it said, Hellbent, Holler, and team, when you began to chase vocalizations and realized you couldn't physically catch up, did you ever consider splitting up by twos? At that point, no, because we heard the direction it seemed to be going in. We already had a really good target area picked out that had a lot of like really deep, dry creek beds. And it sounded like that's exactly where it was going to. I think that if maybe we had heard two different vocalizations going in two different directions, at that point, we probably would have split up. We probably would have gone 2 and 2. But as it was, during that time when those vocalizations were peeling off, it seemed like they were going in just one direction. And maybe the guys can talk about it, because all four of us really had the feeling at that moment of just how fast these things are. It was just you would just hear it vocalize. And I think we even said at one point, is it just vocalizing while it travels, or is it stopping, vocalizing, and then going to the next spot? But I mean, it was just constant, and there was just no way we could catch that on foot.
Yeah.
And
So,
I interpreted it as it moving, vocalization as moving, because we've heard similar here in Uwari going across a ridgeline, and particularly like what you guys capture there. The tonality of it was so similar, and to me, you can hear it moving, like it's calling out consistently enough, and you can hear the movement of it in the different areas it goes to. but then it also seems like it stops and then kind of.
Jesse's taking care of the cat fight, so 1 second there.
Oh, okay. I thought I said something like raunchy, or I'm like, what happened?
No. We got to. So, let's see here, Steve. What about you? I know you're muted right now. You want to pop on, kind of give your thoughts about what we heard, that because what I got was just an overwhelming just sense of speed from that thing, and it was just like effortless. It was just going across. I mean, I would have thought that it was multiple of them sounding off, but it sounded like that was just one traveling at like a super high rate of speed through there. What were your thoughts on it?
I almost feel like, because there was a point where we were walking down that trail and we saw the weird lights that I still don't think we've totally 100% figured out what they were associated with, but I feel like some of the sounds started at our 3 o'clock and worked all the way around us because we were on a peninsula. It worked from 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock to then coming up on our 10 to 9 and then going behind us. And that's when we, I think Jessi said, I think it's heading towards the ridge line. Like, I feel like it was in movement the entire time and then consistently making that same sound. Like, there was a little bit of like tonality differences in some of the calls, but it was consistently the same noise. Like, you definitely could tell it was moving, but it almost felt like, because of how long, like each call was beyond 3 seconds a piece, like it was moving as it was making the noises.
Yeah,
I don't know a whole lot that stuff that does that. Even coyotes stop to howl.
Yeah. And you could tell that it was moving so fast. And it was just like that. It was just like you, Ari, with the speed in which this thing was going. We ran down that hill and we should have been able to sort of intercept, at least in a line where it was. But you could tell it was moving up that ridge line so fast when we were running down that hill that there was just no catching it at that point. We almost had to go and get in the truck and go over to those creek beds. And a real magnifico moment for me was when we got in the truck, we drove around, went up the road to those creek beds, which is right in line with where we were. And then it's on that path. Like, it was in that direction, headed in that direction. It was such a satisfying moment for me when we caught that vocalization all the way over there again, that we actually picked it back up, so that would actually confirm that what we were hearing over there at the closed down Rushing Creek campground, we were now hearing it a distance away at these creek beds.
Bonnie Blue had said, I love it that you followed up on the interviews. The methodology and research was on point and interwoven so great with the investigation. If you watch our stuff, you know that, we occasionally will do like witness interviews. It's been difficult in the past. We have had witnesses that we have come to maybe doubt the veracity of their claims. Our time is pretty precious, so we don't really want to chase a lot of tall tales that maybe don't have a basis in reality. That's why we were so selective in the people that we interviewed for this.
Yeah.
Steve Causey, Mike Smith, when we first started talking about this, they were the first two that really came to our minds as far as possibly interviewing for this. And after those interviews were done, we knew we'd made the right decision. When we sat and reviewed the footage of them, we really knew we had made the right decision. They were phenomenal on this, but that's what we did. We interviewed them early on in this field investigation and then used the information they gave us to really kind of hone in on some areas to investigate. That area where we caught those vocalizations, the area where we found the scat, that was a direct result of a witness that had come forward and talked to Steve Causey and spoke about coming over that bridge that you kind of see in the background in 1982 and seeing a lot of emergency vehicles down there. And when we went and checked that out, MK had said early on that, he pretty much vocalized what all of us were thinking. No way somebody got an RV down here. No way somebody got a camper down here. There's no remnant of a road. It's too marshy. But then we found that scat.
What's interesting about that location as well is it is pretty close, as a crow flies. It's pretty close to where we discovered those abandoned and ripped up tents in the past. And so that whole area, even though that's adjacent to the alleged massacre site, the purpose of this is to say, what are the facts of the matter here? But the fact that we think that the massacre in 1982 didn't occur there doesn't mean that there isn't activity going on there right now, or that something else didn't happen there at a different period of time, or that the details were different.
Our buddy Pork Chop Express, dire wolves are real. They've been genetically re-engineered, which is even scarier. You might never see a Dogman. See the dire wolf, you should be worried. And you know, that's one of the theories that people bat around as far as like stuff at the LBL is there a mixture of legitimate paranormal Dogman activity and then, you know, things that are genetically manipulated.
Yeah.
Coming around, like, you know, in there and kind of interacting with the Dogman that are already there at this point. So let's see what else we got here then. If you guys have any questions for Steve and MK as well, drop them in the chat and I will try to come across them if you have anything directed for them. Moondog has got a good one here. It was all about the audio. Large wolf-like dropping singular howls. Wolf packs tend to use multiple group. Basically, you hear multiple of them in a pack. This was a singular animal. Steve, what did you think as far as when you first heard that vocalization that night? We're there in a remote area, middle of the night, no one around, and you heard that sound come over the hill. What did you think when you heard that?
That we are listening to something that should not be there. Like, it's clearly the closest sound is a wolf sound, and wolves don't exist in the LBL or the surrounding areas between Kentucky and Tennessee. So not only that, is it clearly wasn't a whatchamacallit, like one of those predator call things, because those are just the same recycled sounds over and over again. This one was different at different distances, moving around. Like, you could hear at certain points, you could tell where it was in regards to, we're in an open field, it's on the other side of these trees and this raised ground. So you can hear how the sound is echoing off of that. And then next thing you know, it's down farther off towards the field. Like, we're hearing something big, moving, and really close, and it shouldn't exist there.
Another thing too is, I mean, we were out there in below freezing temperatures. It was right after that huge snowstorm. There were still mountains of snow on the ground when we were out there. And I mean, when we were out there at night, we were freezing up. I mean, it was so cold. We ended up having to get out of there with the quickness at the end of that last investigation, because we were soaking wet from being in that marshy area, and then it was below freezing. So the likelihood that anybody would be out there cold blasting to begin with is insanely unlikely.
Well, not to mention too, the calls, as you could tell, coming through for the audio. Now, the audio, it's really interesting because that was one of the things that really took the longest for this, was to try to get really good, clean audio samples. But it was close, and
Yes.
everybody was running a thermal imager.
Mm-hmm.
We had night vision devices. People are noisy in the woods. People can't hide their thermal, signature. There was nobody out there, and whoever was out there, if there was a person out there, we would have seen them. And I feel confident saying that 100%. On a cold night like that, to get that close and to vocalize like that, we would have caught a person. Whatever was out there, though, has the ability to kind of traverse that terrain and especially go up elevation far faster than a human can. There's a scene where you see MK kind of run forward at those vocalizations with a thermal imager. And it just, whatever it is, just vanishes. It melts away.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fully expecting, like, what you see it in the video where we kind of walk in that field and you see at the far end, there was a tree line with a little embankment going up. When we heard that, the vocalization there, I fully expected when I reached that mound, I was going to see something at least fleeing or moving through those trees. And it was like it would just not be there, but you'd hear it. It was so robust, and it wasn't that far. Like, it was over there. It just moved out so fast.
And it seems like we had that same kind of thing happen when we were in that initial investigation in Russian Creek. And then we moved over to the other area when we heard that thing in the trees, and then we heard that thing on the ground. you know, we fully expected something to be on the ground there when we got across where that creek was.
Somebody had mentioned earlier that the stomping in the woods sounded Sasquatch-like. That night when we left Russian Creek and we were over there, that crashing sound, the audio did not do it justice to what we heard. It was crazy. It was crazy.
That was wild.
You guys know what I'm talking about. Would you guys like to chime in on that? Or
oh yeah, well, it's like in the audio that you can hear, it sounds like something running away. It sounded like that times 10, like size wise. It was just huge. And what was strange, you know, we heard something up in these trees, and it was quite a bit of crashing. And then you literally hear that thump, and then thump, 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 thump. And we were all pretty much on it with our headlamps pointing, like following the sound down. It was that distinct. Yeah, we never saw it. And that's what was so weird. It sounded so large. We could see the crashing happening, and then here, but we never could see what it was. It was very strange.
Steve, you can go ahead. What are you thinking about that whole situation?
The thickness of the tree, like of the ground litter, like there's branches and leaves, and anybody that's heard something fall through there, you usually can tell when it hits that level where it didn't move its way through the leaf clutter. This, you heard it go through leaf clutter, hit ground, and impact, and then move away. And I don't know if it's in my memory or I'm filling in a gap, but I feel like I saw a dust up of leaves move as something was moving. Like after something had cleared the area, you could see how some of the leaves had disturbed a little bit, but there was no like impact spot. Like whatever it was that came down was heavy, and it moved away really quickly. That was just, it was unsettling to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, we're out here looking for Bigfoot. We're looking for Dogman, and you know, and I'm not saying it's a ghost, but it's like a ghost. You hear this clamor, and then you see this going on, and then it's gone right before your eyes. It's something.
And something about that particular situation too was when we're walking out there, we stayed pretty much in a line, and most of the time we stay in a line. That was the one point during that kind of excursion to that area where we had just started getting a little sloppy with our formation. We were kind of like sprinkled out throughout, and that's when it hit. And that's where, like, my first, that was a very intense moment, because I'm thinking, okay, well, I wasn't quite sure where Steve was. I knew that Joe was somewhere over here. You know what I mean? And it was that was where it kind of happened in a time where we were broken up differently than we normally would be, which is mostly kind of in a line or some sort of formation where we kind of know where everyone's at.
Yeah, there was a really.
You can see that in the video. We're kind of scattered about in that one part, like, because these creek beds, you kind of get split off, and depending on what size length your legs are, we got giants and then shorties. Like, you kind of move about different areas, like, you know, to navigate. So,
what you got from the chat, Joe?
Real quick, Amy True had said Jessi killed those interviews.
Thank you. It was I'm very new to doing interviews. You know, we're really trying to develop everything that we do here and take a holistic approach in more ways than one, in how we do this. And we want to get the whole picture when it comes to these things. So we're going to be integrating interviews, but we're definitely going to be doing them like this, a Hellbent Holler style. It's not going to be, you know, sitting outside in a little chair and everything like that. But
the field interviews are going to be used to direct the field investigations.
I think my favorite thing is when you say, what happened? What did it look like? It was over there. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Then that's the way it needs to be, is that when a police officer is doing an investigation, they just don't go out and canvass witnesses and take the reports and then not do anything with them.
Yeah.
The reports are to guide the investigation, not to be the sole purpose of the investigation. Our buddy Sheila's his great job. It definitely had a 1980s horror movie vibe in the intro. That's what Jessi was going for.
Yeah.
Our buddy Smog is in here. Smog's one of our Holler ballers, one of the pillars of the Holler. Gifted 5 Hellbent Holler memberships.
Thank you, Smog.
Thank you, Smog. And for everyone, is the LBL Kentucky the #1 Dogman hotspot in the USA? Or is there another state or town with more sightings? Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, Tennessee. Kentucky definitely has a very rich history of, let's just call it werewolf lore. There's the Barilla, the Gateway werewolf, the Wadi werewolf. There's a lot of small areas through there that have very locally ingrained werewolf lore. A lot of times they're not referred to as Dogman. Now, what we're starting to realize, though, is that this phenomenon is pretty much, I can't say nationwide, but all through, especially the Southern Appalachians, it's pretty widespread. It doesn't get reported as often as Bigfoot activity does, and it's often misreported as Bigfoot activity. You see a tall, hairy creature in the woods, other than the NADP, the North American Dogman Project, there's not a lot of like really structured places to report that.
There's no reporting mechanism for your experiences. And a lot of times with the Dogman subject, to most people, especially people who are hardcore, the aper type Bigfoot people, the Dogman subject is so ridiculous that they wouldn't even take a report. They would laugh these people out of any kind of conversation that they'd be having. So that's where the Dogman topic starts to get a little weird. And for some reason, it seems like the Dogman topic attracts some of the craziest personalities that are out there. So that's where it starts to get difficult with the Dogman topic.
Well, you know, it's one of the things that like the hardcore apers will go as well. There's evidence in the fossil record of Bigfoot, but not Dogman. And I'm like, but is there though? Is there really evidence on the fossil record? I mean, if you take Gigantopithecus out of it, you know, unless it's a relic hominid. But anyway, we've got a couple other things here real quick. Walter, one of our Holler ballers, that was not a human-generated howl. That audio was outstanding. That audio was when we were all at Russian Creek and we heard those vocalizations that seemed very similar to what we picked up at the Uwari. I had that moment where I just went, maybe there's no Dogman here. Maybe there's just Bigfoot activity in the LBL. And then the ground kind of fell out from beneath me when we were, you know, near the canal, and we caught those like very and that's the only way to describe them. That sounded like a werewolf screaming in the night next to you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you know, it sounded movie-like because, you know, if you're a special effects person on a movie set and they go, hey, I need you to build me the sound of a large wolfman, well, that's what they're going to do. They're going to make the movie sounds kind of like follow what they would expect the reality of one of these creatures to sound like. So when I really stepped back and thought about it, I said, well, it makes sense that it sounds like what we've kind of heard in movies at that point. That's what a large upright wolf would sound like. A lot of power, it was a lot of confidence in those howls. You know, coyotes sound kind of pissy sometimes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Little pissants.
Little pissant coyotes. they yip, they do whatever, you know. They're predators, but they're not a dominant predator. Whatever howled there was just like, there was confidence behind that. There was power behind that. There was a feeling of like, whatever that was, that like rules the night. And what did you guys think about it?
Oh, exactly the same thing. In fact, when we were going down into that location, we heard coyotes off in the distance. And as soon as that went off, there was nothing from that. And in fact, I think we may have heard them one more time way, 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 way far off, where you could just barely kind of hear them. And we were like, well, they're on a totally different side of the peninsula and everything. They have that thing. Again, it's like, it's not behavior of a canine where it's like, if this is a wolf, where's the other ones? And if this is a coyote, well, why isn't the other coyotes they're not responding? They're literally moving out of the area. And a field like that at night, that should be their prime kind of location to feed. Through the thermals, you could see mice running about. So it was a very fertile place for food, for especially like those types of predators. But that particular, it sounded like a werewolf. It was unbelievable, and just the robustness of it, and it seemed to repel all the other predators in the area away from it.
I think you guys did such a good job of keeping the audio clean. Is you don't you don't get it watching. We saw it when we were standing there. Is, as MK said, we're in this open field. There was 3 to 4 different points surrounding this field of packs of coyotes. It was unnerving because you could tell the coyotes were trying to come into this clearing, and they were all hitting a barrier that they were just not going to come forward. Like, I've dealt with that in a couple of areas in Tennessee where I was down on a trail and the coyotes went down the trail between me and where I was parked at. So it's like, you got to wait for them to just clear their path that they're going to go through and then continue hiking down the trail. This, we could distinctly tell where they were, and they just hit a point and stopped. It would not move forward because of the sounds that were coming from the other side of us. That was just, you were seeing the behaviors take place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was wild to kind of be a part of that and kind of be in the middle of that. We were in the middle of this power struggle. It seemed like a territorial dispute. Christy McScotland says, what was it that whipped past MK and Jessi?
That was crazy.
That was insane. And I slowed it down and then replayed it in the video, in the film. You guys have got to go back and watch that again. It was some sort of object, and I felt the air go past my face. I heard it, I felt it, and then it landed right by me, and then it came from the woods, and it was absolutely whipped at us. It was whipped at a high speed, and it was heavy, and it definitely threw us for a loop, you know?
And I felt the exact same thing, but on my right side. So it literally flew diagonally, like right between our heads, where we were gapped probably by like 8 foot or something like that. That took like skill to whip something just right there between us. Yeah, I heard it go. It went right past my head. I thought you had to push down or hit like a sapling and it had whipped by me or something like that. That was wild.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to check out. Watch that again and check that sequence out again, because you can see it. You can see it's light colored. I don't know if it's a stone or something, but it comes right past my face. Michael Tovar says, another question I have. The 1982 alleged massacre, how did that scene become known? Campers came across the scene, or a park ranger? How long after it happened?
Now, there's a couple variations of like the actual 1982 massacre, and that's one of the things we kind of talked about behind the scenes, is the fact that this researcher has a little bit of information and this researcher has a little bit of information, but I think where we've really been hampered at up until now is that nothing gets done with that information. There's not a lot of people that really go out and start to pull in those threads
and do something actionable.
Other than Steve Causey. Right. Steve Causey was, I'm telling you right now, we could have released just a 4-hour-long interview with Steve Causey and you all would have sat there riveted. And then we could have released another 4-hour one with just Mike Smith, with him telling just his personal experiences and what his family's experienced in the area and just his thoughts on the phenomenon. But the one that seems to make the most sense is that some campers came across the site of the attack, and they came out and basically alerted the police. The police went in, the campers refused to go back. And that's when all of a sudden they realized what happened. Now there's other branches that the story takes then. Now what seems to make sense to me is, and this is just, I'm spitballing, it's a wild ass theory, is that, you want to give me the sound?
Well, I don't know how wild it is.
It's wild. Give it to me.
You ready for it?
Go.
Are
Give
you
it to
sure?
me. Lay it on me.
What?
Lay it on me.
What?
So one of the things that all of us talked about is the fact that in this part of the country, especially in the early 80s, the power that the local officials have there is pretty damn near absolute. They're really much just almost absolute rulers over their like little domains out there. And it's one of two things happened out there. Either they got in there and they were able to shut it down and keep kind of a handle on it, and then they partnered with like the local officials of the LBL to do whatever sort of cover up, or it immediately got handed over to the military to kind of get in and try to help cover up at that point. We all found it very interesting that the helicopters that you see, the Night Stalkers, which is basically a special operations helicopter group, when we looked into it, we found that they were taken from Fort Bragg, which is where most of the Special Operations Command is at, and they were moved to Fort Campbell, right outside the LBL in 1982.
Yeah.
And, obviously, against a wild ass theory, did they need to bring in a very mobile response force that they knew could be trusted to keep this stuff quiet after the 82 attack happened? And it might have.
Yeah.
So.
And we're not going to go super long today, just because I know everybody watched the premiere, and I hear tale that it's WrestleMania day.
WrestleMania's tonight too, baby.
We're not going to go super long today, but we are going to pick this back up on Tuesday on our show. I think we need to follow up on our show on Tuesday with this. There's so many questions and so many things we want to all talk about that we can't fit into one show. And MK was abducted by the Men in Black just now. So what else we got in terms of chats that we can run through? And
real quick things. Manuel Stone, thank you for joining the membership.
Thank you,
we greatly appreciate it. And I say, give Steve a couple minutes here just to kind of give us his overall impression on anything that he wants to talk about.
I think MK's back.
And MK's back. So, Steve, what are some of your impressions of the LBL, the activity that we encountered, and what do you think's going on out there?
It's the LBL, like, again, looking at it from somebody that's, you've listened to the podcast and you've heard before everything became an AI spooky story, you heard people telling stories of things that it was always the Dogman. I think that there's a lot more to the LBL that, especially you guys, the way you do your investigations, are going to find that thing that whipped past you guys, or these black forms, or the weird lights. Like, it is not just I'm blanking on the term. Is it Linda Godfrey? It's not just a beast of, like, just a werewolf. There's so many different things going on. The place is just covered in cemeteries. I think you go in looking for one thing and you're going to find a dozen other things that you didn't know you were looking for. So it might sound hokey to say, but the LBL is just this land of different kinds of mysteries. Like, I bet you just go out there into an open field with a tape recorder, you might get some EVPs. Like, it's nonstop weirdness out there.
Yeah, I agree. Same question for MK. You there? We got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. What did you ask him before?
Just MK. So same question to you, your overall impressions of the LBL, what we encountered, how the investigation went. It was your first time going into that area. What do you think of that area after going out of it? And what do you think about what you experienced out there while we were on the investigation?
MK's silence right now. We got no MK. The Men in Black have deemed him unable to speak. He's gonna get that hammered out, and then we will get back to MK because his mic is muted right now.
See if we got anything else in the chat here real quick to do.
Let's
There
do
were a few things here that I'm going to go ahead and bring up. Jayford asked, "You ever thought about doing large-scale investigations with like-minded researchers set up in various parts of the LBL to cover a large area at the same time?" Our buddy Mike Smith is actually doing a thing called Pathfinders there, where he's really doing some exceptionally well-organized investigations. We are talking to a few people out there, like the half-inch wrench crew guys and whatnot, about trying to do a larger kind of like full-spectrum attack.
Just a really hardcore, high-tech investigation. Like sort of like the A-team, the dream team of Bigfoot field investigations, but really hitting the LBL in a real meaningful way with that kind of technology and that kind of skill sets.
There was another thing here real quick that I wanted to, a lot of people definitely spoke up that they liked the fact that you included the coordinates
Yeah.
of the area as we did it. So I thought that was cool. One of the things that when you and I first looked at the LBL, we did a lot of digging to find out where everybody thought that original massacre spot was, where the bunkers are. And it took us a while, but we figured it out, and then we were able to go there. Now, I have noticed some backpedaling lately with people going, "Oh, that's not the massacre spot," and I'm going, that's not what people have been saying. There have been other. Now, Jody Cook had an area. He thought there was an area down near the water that made a lot of sense.
And I think Elijah Henderson talked about that area as well.
Yeah. I think on the next LBL thing we do, I think it'd be a good idea for us to maybe hook up with Jody Cook, get some of his ideas on it, because he's done some really good, thoughtful investigations into that portion.
And I'd love to include Elijah into this as well. He's probably one of the best historians on the area. Aside from Steve Causey, Elijah and his sister Gabby have been in and out of the LBL for years, and they're just such a valuable resource when it comes to boots on the ground investigation and history of the area.
So, MK, are you back on?
I should be. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So,
excellent. Right on. What was the question? Oh, no. I wasn't paying. I was trying to get that. I was still working on the audio. What was the question?
No real structure to it, but what were your thoughts on the area, the LBL itself, the activity that we experienced? How did you feel leaving there from before you went in? And did you have any preconceived notions reinforced or dismissed, or just your overall thoughts on it?
Well, I was fascinated by the land structure. I think it's very fascinating that it's enclosed with water. And then the road, the trace, I found very fascinating because you have this road that runs directly down the middle of it. And, like it said in the documentary, it's 170,000 acres. So from this one road, you have all these branches of, Forest Service roads and other types of roads. And that's where there's so much stuff out there that, like leaving, I was, when we left, I just wanted to get back there and check it all out, because there's so many more spots where no one's ant. And it seems like if there is a lot of activity like this, like it might be in these spots where no one's ever ant most of the time. And we had we'd spent 7 days out there. So there was like a lot of places we got to look at that weren't featured in the documentary, but we got to check out, just get small slices of it. And so as soon as we left, I was already kind of wanting to go back and do it again, like another 7 days, because I just felt like there was so much left to be uncovered there.
Yeah. There's so many layers to the LBL. It's shocking how nobody really films a lot of these things that are out there. So it's crazy to see, how much is out there, how many really cool, amazing locations are out there that haven't really been investigated. And so we really wanted to take a stab at doing that, but we also wanted to, really tell this story. So there's a lot of stuff we didn't include in it as well. We're going to wrap up soon. MK, I have to ask you a question. Are you doing a stakeout tonight?
Not tonight, but I'm planning on one tomorrow.
Oh, one tomorrow night. Okay. And you can plug that towards the end of this here. Does anybody have any kind of final thoughts on here? We're going to pick this back up on Tuesday and get really in depth. I just wanted to do an hour-long after show here and kind of, just get some thoughts on everything and throw in some chats. I know everybody was super excited about the premiere and everything. Does anybody have any final thoughts? Steve, if you want to go ahead. And then in the process of doing that, also tell us, what are you doing next? What are you up to? What projects are you working on right now? Go ahead, Steve.
I'm learning that it's a whole lot easier to think that you know how to to record and run around with a camera, but actually committing and doing it is a very different thing. The number of times I've gone out in the woods so far and then found out that the microphone never recorded any audio or only recorded half of the audio, and I get home and I can't wait to share some form of research or adventure, and then come to find out it's just a camera recording me talking and no sound. So I'm kind of still learning where I'm making mistakes at, and trying to get out there and accomplish just an iota of what y'all are doing.
An iota. Well, it's taken a lot of tears, a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears to get to where we are. And
my hair was black when I started doing this, so now look at me.
We're still trying. You know, we're still every day we're improving what we do. And I think this camp out we went to this past week was a real a learning experience for us as well. We kind of learned how to do some other stuff, and that's the thing is there's no stopping point. There's no end point when it comes to doing this. We try to get as advanced as we can and constantly learn how to do new stuff. But like with our crew and everything, we're happy to help you guys with anything and, you know, kind of give you a fast access to some of this stuff too. So what do you have going on next? And what did you learn through this process, Mr. MK?
It would definitely it's like the technical challenge of it. I'm learning this, like I'm kind of going through like the crash course now of it, but yeah, to try to capture all this stuff and to try to, whether it's video or audio, it's such an uphill battle. But like what I'm learning throughout this is that like it is possible. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time devoted to it, and you know, like what we saw in that documentary, like that was over the course of like 7 days, 14, 16 hours a day running around out there just to get these little snippets of something. But like when you do get that, like it's so worth it. But what I've been learning is just like, yeah, just the technical challenge. I mean, you've seen it here with like the microphone cutting out. You always got to stay on your toes, and yeah, you just got to roll with the punches.
You know, that's one of the things I think both of you guys talked about, just the difficulty of being able to go out and do this. And when people kind of put forward that negative opinion of, well, there's nothing out there because real evidence is so scarce and hard to come by. And I'm going, well, there's only a few people really dedicated in doing this, which you would consider the right way. And that's because it's hard.
It's very difficult.
It's one thing to kind of go out and just sit there and maybe experience something and come back with a cool story. Well, people are going to dismiss that cool story out of hand. The activity, these phenomena are out there. And they're out there a lot more regularly, and they're a lot more commonplace than what a lot of people realize. It's just that the evidence is a lot harder to come by. It's difficult to go out there and capture the video and the audio just using your cell phone. You got to really kind of hone in those tools. And then even after doing it a while, it's hard, man. It's hard. And things don't always go right, and you miss some opportunities. But the longer you do this, and with both of you guys as well, man, both of you guys, where you are right now, you're going to be in a much different position a year from now.
Yeah. And
then another year after that, and another year after that. Same thing with us. I mean, I think we're in a pretty good position now to be able to document what we encounter. We're going to be in a hell of a lot better position this time next year.
And I think the purpose, you know, I think we mentioned this before we even set sail to go to the LBL. I said I was going to burn it down, and I think we did. That was, of course, taken in the completely wrong direction when we got swatted and accused of terrorist acts and arson. But I want to burn it down. The way things have been done up to this point have been a failure. You know, and so what you need to do is have people out there who have equipment, who know how to use it, and that's the only way we're going to capture evidence of any of this going on. And
no more gatekeeping, no more hidden knowledge.
No more hidden knowledge.
No more just, I know, but you can't know.
Just listen to
you
me.
The knowledge has to come through me. That's why we put the coordinates up.
Yeah.
We put the coordinates
We
up.
want you to go out there yourself and do this yourself because you're 100% capable of doing this. Joe and I didn't go to some special school. We don't have any special training. We're not special people. We're normal people just like you and you and you. And all it takes is passion, dedication, and the willingness to work for something. And that's how we got to where we are. And I think anybody can do that. And the more people that we have who have that sense of dedication and interest, the more evidence that we're going to get as a whole.
Pork Chop did say, Jessi, please get Joe a 3 Wolf Moon shirt with this so he may be imbued with its magical powers. Remember the 3 Wolf Moon shirts?
Yes.
Are they still a thing? Can you still get those?
You can't. I can make one. Now, we do have to do our werewolf celebration thing. Woo!
Need a cool name after this, man. But anyway, we are going to wrap this up.
The wolf turds.
The wolf turds.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that goes with the theme.
That turd. I liked how nobody, once they saw that turd, that scat we found, nobody tried to naysay it. That turd is undeniable.
That is an
undeniable
a special piece of scat there.
So,
and I couldn't believe like we were about to like completely cross that place off the map. It was literally like that second we were just seeing that. It's like, oh, okay, we're back in now. And if it wasn't for that, we would have never caught those vocalizations at the end.
No, and then you're given like that gift of the turd right there that really just brings you right back in. The turd reels
It's just
you
like
back.
Steve's favorite word, synchronicities, you know.
Yeah. He would say synchronicities and he'd go, oh, I said it again. I really appreciate you guys going and doing this project with us. The LBL is a dangerous place. It's a very complex place. It's a large place. And Joe and I had done it before, but I don't think we could have done it to the degree that we did for this project. This project was so important that we needed the help, and I appreciate you guys coming in and helping and being a part of this project. You guys each brought something so different to the table and contributed to this project in such an amazing way. And I couldn't have done it without you two. And I hope that we meet up again. I know that we're going to be working with MK again soon. Steve, we want to work with you very soon as well. But I don't think this is the end of this little what is this? Quadrant? What is it? It's 4 people. What do you call 4 people? A foursome. That sounds dirty. That's I don't think this is the end of us as a group, as a gang. We're a gang. I don't think this is the end of the gang in the LBL. We had some crazy revelations that last night we were there, and it was a whole new thread. It was a whole new lead that was so weird, so out of left field. We sort of kind of dug into it a tiny bit, but I think that we've got a whole new investigation lined up for all 4 of us to jump into next time we go back to the LBL, which might be sooner than later. But I'm excited to get into that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why when I left there, I was immediately like, we got to go back. There's so much left to uncover out there.
And there's something about the LBL when you go out there that you get so tired. I mean, we were all so tired. We were about to murder each other. We were exhausted. We barely got any sleep. There was some sort of lawnmower being fired up in the front of the cabin all night, every night. It was strange. It was strange, wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
But by the end of it, though, you're like so tired, you're ready to go. And then this is what it does. It gives you some little thing. It gives you some little nugget. Then you go, dang it, I got to come back. And that's exactly what happened. So this is not the end of this story. This is not the end of the gang's forays into the LBL. We're just getting started. But we had to do this documentary and we had to tell this story because we had to put this to bed. And now starts a new era of new people doing new things and new investigations in the LBL. And that's us. And that's what we're doing.
Damn right.
And we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you check out Strange Backcountry and Surviving the Strange. We're going to put links to both of their channels in the description of this show here down below. Tomorrow, MK will be doing a live stakeout from the bus. So make sure you go check that out. MK, what time? Give us the details on that stakeout and what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be doing it, and some other information about that, my man.
Well, it's going to be late at night because the big man seems to show up out here usually kind of around midnight to 3. That seems to be the active hour. So I'm going to shoot for about 11 p.m. But yeah, you can subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, and you get updates whenever I got a new stakeout coming. And if you haven't seen what I do, I set up a high sensitivity mic. I have thermal, I have night vision. And I literally just sit. I drive this bus into the woods. I set up Starlink and I just sit and I listen. And you guys can listen with me. In fact, if you as the audience member can actually hear things better than I can with the high sensitivity mic at the time, I'm going to work out a way where I can get some headphones and actually hear what you guys are hearing. But we've caught some very interesting sounds and some vocals that are up in the air right now. Definitely, I got a lot of coyotes to compare stuff to. But yeah, if you're into just pure, unadulterated investigation, stakeout stuff, subscribe to Strange Backcountry.
All right, Steve, what do you got going on, my man? What do you got coming up? Plug your channel. Tell everybody where they can find you and your work at.
I am on Rumble and I post random pictures on Instagram. Both of them are at Surviving the Strange. Hopefully my next outing will have a little bit better audio. I've got a spot that a couple people have mentioned nearby, and I'm going to try to recover some of the audio from a 3-day trip I did out where some people had claimed that they saw dogmen, and we had some weird encounters going out there. So most of the channel is just me and my dog. We just run around the woods at night. So he tends to hear things a little bit better than I do, and we see what shenanigans we can get into. I'm nowhere near as professional as y'all.
We are not professional at all. I just know how to edit us to where we look professional. I want to thank you guys for joining us. You guys stay on the line. I'm going to drop you guys down and we're going to say goodbye to everybody. You guys stay on the line. We want to say goodbye to you guys before we cut out because, baby, I earned a taco. I made a great movie and I earned a taco. You guys stay in the green room and I'll talk to you guys in a second. But let's get rid of these guys right now. All right, guys, thank you for joining us for this after show. It's been a blast. I'm exhausted. I want a taco. But guess what? If you're a member of our channel, you can watch me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for Expedition Debrief. I'm going to talk all things LBL and the expedition that we went on over the past week. We did a camp out, and my goodness, what a blast we had. And we learned so much. We had so much fun, but that's for members only. That's Expedition Debrief tomorrow, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and that's my solo show. And then we're going to do a public show on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. That's for the public. That's Hellbent Live. That's our regular Tuesday show. It's the great return of Hellbent Live. So make sure you tune in at 7:30 p.m. Eastern right here on Hellbent Holler on the YouTubes. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us in the chat on the premiere. We had probably one of the biggest premieres that STM has had. I'm going to confirm those numbers for sure.
We're actually getting some text messages.
I'm getting text messages.
Seth Reblob right now that nice launch. And there has already been some interest in some streamers picking it up.
Very good. So we might be on the old television. Hey, y'all seen me on TV.
Y'all seen me on TV.
Oh, boy. So. And guess what? We did it ourselves. And we did it with the help of you. We did this together. This is grassroots. This is independent. So make sure you say no to corporate Bigfoot.
And Care Dog's got a good thing. I want to lead out on this. Because thank you to STM for reaching out and pulling up others.
100%.
STM, Small Town Monsters, that has been the best bunch of people that we have met doing this so far. There's a reason why we were so eager to work with them. And it was not because of the size of the platform they have had, because we've turned down TV offers before that have an equally large platform. But the Small Town Monsters people are who you want in this community. And we've just been so proud and just really thankful for the opportunity to do stuff with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, support independent filmmakers, support the independent side of this, because we're all in this together. This is not motivated by selling cat litter. This is motivated by the love of the project, the love of the topics. We're all in this and we're all into it. And that's the difference between us and corporate Bigfoot. So thank you guys. We couldn't do it without you. This is a community. This is a movement. This is a revolution. That's it. That's all I've got for you guys. I'm going to go get my taco. I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you members tomorrow. Good night and Godspeed. Bye, guys.